In these turbulent economic times, a little bit of humor goes a long way, and today's guest is providing us with exactly that. From hedge fund trader to poet, Todd Federman is giving us a lighthearted look at Wall Street, our leaders in Washington, and pretty much the entire economic meltdown. Todd, welcome. Thanks so much for being here today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So what was the first event in this economic crisis that made you say, you know what, yes, I see the markets collapsing, global economic meltdown, yet there is poetry somewhere in this?
Right. In November, after the markets had begun their meltdown, I read an opinion that was from the New York Times by Paul Krugman, and he talked about the subprime mortgage crisis and how all of the players, each in a row, had to make the wrong decision along the way. And it reminded me of the old children's rhyme, there was an old lady who swallowed a fly, and then she swallowed a spider, and then she swallowed a cat, and it goes on and on and on. I said, you know what? The subprime mortgage crisis is just like that. And so I sat down and I wrote a poem called Subprime, which is about the subprime mortgage crisis.
So how did that first poem then develop into a whole poem of books? You clearly thought, oh, there's something else in here.
Yes. In December, I was inspired to write something called The Last Word at Christmas, which was sort of modeled after The Night Before Christmas by Clement Clark Moore. And it wasn't half bad, and I sent it to an arty friend of mine. He said, find a blog to post it on. And I found one online at the Wall Street Journal Online. The response from that posting ended up being a page-one article in the Wall Street Journal on December 31st that had both my picture and excerpts from two of my poems. I got an overwhelming response from that. And so I decided to squirrel myself away, and for 6 weeks, literally 12 hours a day, I wrote poetry in my basement, and I ended up with a book, Rhymes for Turbulent Times.
Okay, so as we've said, it's called Rhymes for Turbulent Times. Let's get right to it. Can you read an excerpt, a poem from your book?
Excellent. I'd certainly love to. The poems in the book range anywhere from 4 lines to as much as 3 pages. Here's one of the shorter ones. Another possibility. Obama's speeches are inspiring, but companies keep right on firing. Market forces keep on conspiring. Good-paying jobs keep expiring. Older folks forced into retiring. I hear the Army is still hiring.
Some profundity in there, okay. Along with some levity. How has writing poetry changed your perspective about Wall Street, do you think?
Well, one of the things, and again from the reaction that I've received from people and also from myself, it's cathartic. I mean, there's been so much misery on the street starting from last September through now. I mean, obviously we've had a recent rally, but the effect that it's had both on me personally, it's very calming, and a lot of people have given me some great response, and they said they've enjoyed chuckling about it.
You were also inspired by the Madoff Ponzi scheme.
That's correct.
I understand you have a poem called He Made Off with the Money.
Yes, I do.
Can you read us an excerpt from that?
I can read you. It's the longest poem in the book. It runs 3 pages. I'll just read the first couple of stanzas.
Great.
He made off with the money. To invest with Bernie Madoff, investors made a simple trade-off. If you did not want to be shunned and maintain access to the fund, you could not question a thing, or he'd boot you, bada bing. About his plans he would not tell. It was part of his basic soft sell. He claimed a rock-steady return, but the trading showed quite a churn.
You've got a thing for the rhyming. You're good at it, I got to tell you.
Rachel, thank you.
So is this your permanent gig now? Have you left Wall Street? How are you making a living these days?
Okay. I had a very successful career on Wall Street. I left in 2006. For the last 16 years before I left, I was at a hedge fund, Paloma Partners, which is one of the granddaddies of the hedge funds. It was founded back in the early 80s. Since then, obviously, I've been doing some writing. I did some teaching, and I've also been more involved in some charity work and enjoying myself.
And what do your wife and kids think about the career change? Are they all for it?
Oh, they're very much so. My wife, Rhonda, has been a major supporter. She was also very instrumental in the book. She designed the entire cover. She was instrumental in the design of the interior. And she also, by the way, did all the design on the website, rhymesforturbulenttimes.com.
A family effort, some lighthearted yet profound moments in that book. Thanks so much for being with us, Todd, and sharing your work. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
You can pick up a copy of Todd's poetry, Rhymes for Turbulent Times, available on Amazon. You can also check out www.rhymesforturbulenttimes.com. That's all we have time for this edition of Now You Know. I'm Rachel Martin in New York. Thanks for watching.
ABC News Now. Good to know.